Soon, with a roll of the die and the magic of color scan, you will enter the doorways to horror. Behind each of a series of diabolical doorways, you must pit yourself against a crowd call of Hollywood's most cantankerous creations. You must contend with werewolves and witches, zombies, monsters, and vampires to amass a king's ransom in gold. Before you take on these goofy ghouls and wacky weirdos, check with the enclosed instructions and make sure you know the rules of the game. Now take heart, just make sure it's your own, as you courageously enter the doorways to horror. Pass through this door into the Olympic-sized swimming pool and witness a tender affirmation of love.
No matter where you go or what you do or who you kill, I love you till the day I die.
A very short time, judging by the menacing appearance of this seaweed monster. Perhaps you can cast a magic spell on one or more of these three charmers, or maybe you have the weapons to control them. If not, just yell, "Gelp!" and run. Now pause the tape and take stock of your situation.
Through this door, you enter the laundry room, where Brenda Lacoste, a former Miss Sexy Eyes of Memphis State, awaits you.
You were a beautiful girl, Brenda.
Before you became a zombie, that is, and made friends like these. Perhaps you can cast a magic spell on one or more of these creatures, or maybe you have the appropriate weapons to control them. If you have, it's a snap. Now pause the tape and chill out.
Through this door, in the great wood, is a witch. Her tender kisses will melt your heart and her face. So try before she leaves to cast a magic spell on her and her companions, or use the appropriate weapons to control them. Now pause the tape before you lose face too.
Beyond this door lies the moat, where the sudden appearance of a hideous monster has made these people's hair stand on end. These fellows seem almost mild by comparison, but don't be fooled. Cast a magic spell if you can, or use whatever weapons of control are yours to command. Now pause the tape and take the time to comb your hair. As you pass through this door, you find yourself in a bit of a tangle in the conservatory, and that, quite frankly, is how this monster would prefer that you stay. And, of course, he keeps a couple of friends around for company. See if you can cast a magic spell on the monster or his friends, or control them with whatever appropriate weapons you happen to have. Pause the tape and try to slither out of this predicament.
Beyond this door is the wine cellar, where zombies are hard at work grinding the ingredients for goulash. Watching over them are these two other ghastly ghouls. Try and cast a magic spell on one or more of these horrors, or, if you have it, use the appropriate weapon to control them. Now, pause the tape before you put your nose to the grindstone again.
Open this door into the arbor, where a werewolf confronts you with a couple of friends. Perhaps you can cast a magic spell on one or more of these horrors, or take control with the appropriate weapons. It's well worth a shot. Now that was a close shave. Pause the tape and prepare yourself for more encounters.
Raise this door into the butler's pantry, where the latest in labor-saving metal monsters awaits your bidding. This fellow is heartless, all right, but then so are his two fiendish friends. Yes, it's time to cast a magic spell on one or more of these horrors, or use whatever weapons you have to control them. Now use your remote control to pause the tape and take a hand in your own destiny.
As you step through this door, you join a zombie estate workers party. Such nice, friendly people. They seem so eager to have you over for dinner, as long as you can lend a hand. Perhaps you can cast a magic spell on a zombie or one of their companions, or use a weapon to take control. Pause the tape and determine whether your spell has changed your fortune.
Reduce the cards in your hand to 7 and pay 3 gold certificates for each one over. Beyond this door is a true horror. As you enter, a vampire rises to greet you, accompanied by 2 of his buddies. Use all your power to cast a magic spell on one or all of these ghastly ghouls, or pray that you have the weapons to control them. Now a mere shadow of his former self, the vampire appears to have been vanquished. Pause the tape and find out for yourself. Through this door, a zombie technician assists at a modern, painless dentistry session where nervous waiting patients are calmed using the latest restraints, the greatest restraint. Try and cast a magic spell on one or more of these creatures, or maybe you have the appropriate weapons to control them. Now pause the tape before you continue. Beyond this door lurks a monster drawn from your very worst nightmares. With him are two other fearsome fiends, so don't take this lion down. Fight back with a magic spell or weapons of control. Now pause the tape while you awaken from this particular nightmare.
Pace meaningfully through this door. And find a victim and a witch who has learned to face a disfiguring acne problem with a real sense of humor. Between her and her friends here, you'll need as many spells and weapons as you can conjure. Pause the tape and prepare yourself for a hot time in the old town tonight.
Step through this door into a werewolf's lair, a regular haunt of two of his friends as well. Unfortunately, the only person who might help has been driven insane and thinks it's Christmas. Cast a magic spell if you can on one or more of these creatures, or use the appropriate weapons to control them. Now, pause the tape, because I think I hear Santa Claus coming.
Beyond this door is the bedroom, where a vampire awaits you. Don't try and make a sucker out of this guy, 'cause you're sure to regret it. Best for everyone if you can cast a magic spell on him or his companions, and maybe fight back with whatever weapons you possess. Pause the tape and make the best of a very grave situation. The richest player must give 10 gold certificates to the poorest. If there's a two-way tie, divide them equally. Step through this door into the chauffeur's bedroom, where a zombie is stirring.
I sure is glad you was awake. Man, we've been worried about you.
And you should worry about his horrible housemates too. But perhaps you can cast a magic spell on one or more of these creatures, or maybe you hold the right weapons to control them.
Come out over here. Hey! Hey, come on, Pee-wee, open the door, will you? Come on, stop playing, will you? Come on, hey. Hey, open this door, I want to get out of here.
Well, pause the tape, and then you can open another door.
Through this door, you enter the greenhouse where a monster wants his supper.
So what do you think I'm carrying here, my dirty laundry?
Watch out for these two troublemakers as well. With the size of his appetite, you'd better hurry up and cast a spell, or use the appropriate weapons to control these creatures. If you have green thumbs, best keep them in your pocket, okay?
Well, goodbye, Dr. Farr. You may have been a crummy dentist, but you were a nice fella. I never meant to kill anybody in my whole life. I've killed 2 in the last 2 days.
Well, but you asked for it coming after me with that knife and all.
Now, you can pause the tape.
Open this door onto a zombie's nightmare. Straight people at their party. Unless you're a zombie too, help the straight folks out by casting a magic spell on the zombies and their devilish companions. Now pause the tape and assess the damage. Through this door is the trophy room.
Tonight you are to join the immortals.
Oh, come on, vampire, that's the oldest line in the book. Never fails to work, though. But don't you fall for it. Cast a spell on these ghouls, or fight back with weapons of control. Now pause the tape and huddle.
Pass through this door into the jewel house, where an obliging werewolf helps you try on an unusual chain necklace. A little too snug, unfortunately. Something in a belt, perhaps? Meanwhile, two of his friends stand by, eager to assist. It might be best to cast spells on these aggressive assistants or arm yourself with weapons of control. Now pause the tape while you recover.
The strongest player must give 2 strength chips to the weakest. If there's a 2-way tie, divide them equally.
Pass through this door into the boudoir, where a witch's earnest inquiry is about to be answered. Definitely not the fairest of them all. But then, neither are her 2 companions. Perhaps you can avoid 7 years' bad luck by casting an appropriate spell or using whatever weapons you have against them. Now pause the tape and get the right answers.
Through this door is a fearsome vampire, an equal opportunity profession, accompanied by 2 feckless friends. Cast a spell on one or more of these cruel creeps, or use your weapons of control. Now pause the tape and take a little refreshment yourself, perhaps.
Open this door into the tower room, where a lonely, locked-up monster only wants to reach out and touch anyone. Frankly, though, I wouldn't go to bat for him, or either of his fatuous friends. Maybe you should cast a spell on one or more of these horrors, or take action against them with the appropriate weapons, because if you turn your back on the opportunity, you may not live to regret it. Pause the tape.
Beyond this door is the kitchen, where fresh ingredients are being gathered for tonight's dinner by Swoop, the cook, who, being a witch also, finds that good help is quite easy to find. Cast a spell, if you can, on one or more of these creatures, or use your weapons of control to defeat them. Now pause the tape and avoid that empty stare. Pass through this door into the honeymoon cottage, where a peeping vampire bat seems set to spoil the proceedings. This bat sure has a head on her shoulders. Jeepers, she's brought along a couple of extra peepers to share the fun. See if you can cast a spell or wield your weapons of control against these creepers. Now pause the tape and get some new blood into the game.
Beyond this door, you find yourself in the attic, where a monstrous chimpanzee plays tug of war. Now that's what I call dirty pool. So cast a spell on one or more of these horrors, or use whatever weapons of control you may have against them. Now, pause the tape, and you may get the last laugh.
If you are holding 2 creatures, then you must pay 4 gold certificates. If you're holding 3, you must pay 8. If you're holding 4, you must pay 12. And if you're holding 5 creatures, you must pay 20 gold certificates. Pass through this door and...
That's where we saw that weird wolf over there.
Werewolf? Don't go too close, especially with these 2 weirdos on the scene.
Here's your werewolf. Come take a look.
To be on the safe side, though, cast a spell on one or more of these funsome fiends, or control them with the appropriate weapons. See what I mean? You can't be too careful. Now, pause the tape before things get worse. Hop through this door into the grand ballroom, where you can do the zombie stomp, or choose these partners instead. While their attention is diverted, you might try casting a spell on them, or using appropriate weapons to control them.
No, no, anything but disco.
Now pause the tape, and bop till you drop.
Open this door into the mausoleum, where a vampire awakens and looks around for a soft drink. See if you can cast a spell on him or his unsavory companions, or use the appropriate weapons of control against them. Now pause the tape, and all will be revealed.
Through this door, in the maid's parlor, we overhear a little light-hearted banter.
You have set yourself up as a Frankenstein and created a monster. I am that monster.
Takes one to know one, as they say, so how about these two? Cast a magic spell on one or more of these lovelies, or control them with weapons, if you can. Now pause the tape while you grapple with the next move. Reduce the cards in your hand to 9 and pay 5 gold certificates for each one over. Through this door, another door opens.
She's dead. Another victim of that monster.
Vampire, actually. And here she comes now, side by side with these two charmers. Perhaps you can cast a spell on one or more of these scavengers, or maybe you have the appropriate weapons to control them. Now pause the tape and hope your spell has changed your fortune. Through this door, in the crypt, a love-struck witch still carries a torch for her old flame. With a little help from a couple of friends, she may be able to revive the relationship. But if I were you, I'd try to cast a spell before she succeeds, or at least use the appropriate weapons of control if you have them. Now pause the tape and extinguish this burning passion. Through this door, two monsters are having a terrible fight.
Alice, where's my dinner?
Do you think I have nothing to do all day but collect warm flesh for you?
Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I've been behaving like a beast.
And so have these two horrors. See if you can't cast a spell on one or more of them, or maybe use the appropriate weapons of control. Now, pause the tape. The richest player must give 12 gold certificates to the poorest. If there's a two-way tie, then divide them equally. Beyond this door, it's Christmas time, and a witch approaches Santa Claus with a simple question.
I've been a good girl, Santa. Do you have a present for me and my two best friends?
Ho, ho, ho. Sorry, my dear, none of you are on my list of good girls and boys.
Then look at your list again, Santa, dearest.
What? Why not help Santa by casting a spell on these hellish hooligans, or take action against them with weapons of control? Now, pause the tape before she asks you what you've bought her for Christmas.
Through this door are...
Zombies.
One way to keep your household expenses to a minimum, I suppose, though these two co-workers might not agree. See whether you can cast a spell on them, or control them with whatever weapons are at your disposal. Now pause the tape before they renegotiate their contract.
Through this door, a generous vampire has been dispensing favors hand over fist. So while the exhausted recipient of his attentions enjoys a well-deserved rest, see if you can come to grips with him and his nefarious neophytes. Now pause the tape. The strongest player must give 2 strength chips to the weakest. If there's a two-way tie, divide them equally. Beyond this door, the Bony Express delivers you to a hideous heap of horrible monsters. And what about this pair to curdle the brew? Don't hesitate to cast spells or use whatever weapons you have at your disposal to control these freakish beings. Now pause the tape and recover your composure.
Open this door into the music room, where a zombie pianist puts her heart, but not her soul, into the music she once loved. Her 2 companions share her ear for a good tune. But if I were you, I'd try to find a spell or weapons of control to use against them. Now, pause the tape and tune into your next move.
Pass through this door into the workshop, where a modern vampire tries out a new, fun way of collecting blood.
Very clever, Eddie, but I don't think that it's very funny.
But it works with real people, too.
But not with these 2 funsters. So why not try a spell or weapons of control if you have them? That brought the color back to his face. Now pause the tape.
Step through this door into the guest bedroom, where a witch encourages one of her house guests to light up her life. Use the right spell or weapons of control, and her 2 other friends might go up in smoke as well. Now, pause the tape while everyone cools down.
Through this door, a werewolf's answer to the burning question of whether it's safe for him to give the kiss of life would seem to be no. I suspect their answers would be the same. Ward off their kind attentions with spells or weapons of control. Now pause the tape and hope for a speedy recovery.
The strongest player must give 2 strength chips to the weakest. If there's a two-way tie, divide them equally. The other side of this door is the boiler room, where a once comely witch has been experimenting with a radical weight loss spell. Her 2 friends could do with a square meal too, but you should offer a spell of your own, or use whatever weapons you have against them. Now, pause the tape and find out what will be served up to you.
Pass beyond this door into the maid's room, where the answer to a tender question proves the old adage, you can lead a werewolf to water, but you can't make him drink. These two would be forced to agree. Best see if you can cast a spell on one or more of these horrors, or take action against them with the right weapons. Now, pause the tape and make a commitment of your own.
If you are holding 2 creatures, you must pay 5 gold certificates. If you're holding 3, you must pay 10. If you're holding 4, you must pay 15. And if you're holding 5 creatures, you must pay 25 gold certificates.
Through this door you enter the gatehouse, where a vampire bids a fond farewell to her lover and leaves, through the wall. These 2 fiends know some pretty cute tricks too, so cast a spell or use weapons of control against them or their vampire mistress. Now pause the tape, but stay on your guard.
Beyond this door, in the great hall, a zombie declares himself.
I have taken a fancy to you, monsieur.
Unable to believe his ears, Monsieur's eyes begin to fail him. Lucky for you, though, that the zombie's cretinous consorts remain in sharp focus, because you have to find a spell against them, or weapons of control. Now, pause the tape before you proceed. Pass beyond this door only if you're game to face some of nature's most fearsome and firesome monsters. Add these beauties to the pile and you'll need to come up with spells or weapons to see you through this zoo. Now pause the tape and strike out for victory.
Through this door, in the graveyard, a witch makes a perfectly routine request.
Put me in contact with the soul of my innocent godchild, Helen.
As 2 inquisitive companions look on. Try to cast a spell on these fiends, or bring your weapons of control into play. Now, pause the tape and shh, or you'll awaken the dead.
The richest player must give 16 gold certificates to the poorest. If there's a 2-way tie, divide them equally.
Through this door are lots of
and one werewolf baying at the moon. See if you can control him or two of his villainous friends with spells or weapons. Now, pause the tape and try not to snarl up your opportunities.
Open this door onto a young man's dilemma.
The soul is gone. I can't bear those empty, staring eyes.
Well, if you choose a zombie as your prom date to save on dinner, you shouldn't complain about a lack of warmth. These two aren't exactly affectionate either, so conjure up a spell or use whatever weapons you have to control them. Now pause the tape. Pass through this door into the vegetable plot, where these overzealous gardeners uncover a grave circumstance.
She's alive!
You can't keep a good witch down, for her two vile vassals have been standing guard over her. Quick, cast a spell on one or more of these gruesome ghouls, or use what weapons you have against them.
And there's no danger that they'll come to us to claim her, because for all those others, this poor girl is dead. And those hands, the hands that I needed so much. Lovely, beautiful little hands. For Deborah!
Now, pause the tape while you plant the seeds of your fortune.
Through this door, a winged monster receives his instructions.
Bring me the woman.
His two confederates in crime may be landlocked, but no less treacherous for that. Cast a spell if you can on one or more of these horrors, or maybe you have the appropriate weapons to control them. Now pause the tape, and don't forget to eat your spinach.
Through this door is something
that'll make you fall flat on your face with horror. A teenage werewolf.
A bonanza of terror with
Michael Landon in a powerful performance as the boy possessed.
Control this Hollywood horror and his two co-stars with spells or weapons if you can.
Panic penetrates every home.
As you pause the tape and confront your prospects for winning the game.
Reduce the cards in your hand to 8 and pay 4 gold certificates for each one over. Beyond this door, a zombie is as surprised to see you as you are him. But then life, and the absence of it, are just full of surprises. But don't let these two catch you unawares. Cast a spell, or use whatever weapons of control you have.
But what if they regain their soul?
Good question. Pause the tape, because it's a tough one to answer. pass through this door to confront a werewolf and a group of pursuers, and not a single silver bullet between them. Perhaps you can come to the rescue with weapons or spells and trounce these two adversaries as well. Now pause the tape before you get carried away too.
Open this door into the sewing room, where a witch has adopted a hands-off approach to her tailoring work. She cuts her suits for effect rather than comfort, but they're a good buy nonetheless. Perhaps you'd better cast a spell on her or these apprentice cutters, or use weapons against them if you can. Now pause the tape. Pass through this door into the cellar, where a vampire puts you at your ease. Well, if you want to live forever, you have to make sacrifices. You may also have to sacrifice a spell or a weapon to control these beguiling ghouls. Now, pause the tape before your blood runs cold.
Beyond this door is a violent, two-headed monster.
I close for you your two eyes like this.
But they, or rather he, and these have to contend with Popeye's spinach and your spells and weapons of control. So do your worst. Now pause the tape. And remember that two heads are not always better than one. Through this door you meet a werewolf, a not entirely positive experience, though his friends here want you to know that they don't share his negative attitude to life. See if you have a spell against one or more of these creatures, or use the appropriate weapons to control them. Now, pause the tape and bring some color back into your life.
Look up through this door and see a fine formation of flying witches, booking now for air shows around the country. At least these two little horrors can't fly, so you may be able to cast a spell on them or use whatever weapons you have to control them. Now, pause the tape and sweep to victory, if you can.
open this door into the crafts room, where it's Model a Monster Week with all materials supplied. Of course, if you want the breath of life, you have to bring that yourself. Watch out for these two uninvited guests, though. Cast a spell against them or the man-made monster, or use the appropriate weapons of control. Now pause the tape, for your fortune is about to be determined. Congratulations! You have all survived the doorways to horror. As you count the value of your gold, we hope the experience has been a rewarding one. The stakes in this game are high as well as pointed, so simply roll the die whenever you wish to enter once more the doorways to horror. If you thought this was fun, try Doorways to Adventure, another Impressman's VCR gallery of games. A celebrity-studded selection of Hollywood's golden moments of action, intrigue, excitement, and comedy will lead you into a series of unforgettable adventures. Ransom, bid, and bribe your way to possession of a glittering array of fabulous treasures. So look out for Pressman's Doorways to Adventure.